God has smiled on me. Every time I speak publicly, every time I get out of bed, every time I go to bed, I say this: this is my life. There are many like it, but this one is mine. There's a lot of reasons why these great players are able to sit and wear this gold jacket that I have. Some of them it's blood, some of them it's sweat. Jared said fear. I stand before you today as the 382nd member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame because of love. You see, you have to learn to follow before you can lead. And so when I started playing football, I had Coach William Hall that I could follow. Coach Hall didn't teach me how to catch or how to throw. He taught me how to pray athletically. He taught me that it was okay to pray for the health and the well-being of the opponent. He taught me that it was okay to pray that God help us play just like we practice. And he turned me over to Buddy McCall, who taught me how to trust in my abilities, how to believe what I saw, and to lean on my teammates as much as humanly possible. You see, I'm not going to bore you with talks at the University of South Carolina because, well, without them, unlike Antonio Gates, I had to go to college and play football to have a chance to stay here. So I'm not going to bore you in talking about them. But I'm also saddened today on this joyous occasion. You see, when I say you have to learn to follow before you can lead, one of my tremendous leaders, my first position coach when I got to the Green Bay Packers, his name was Buddy Geis. And only Coach Hall was probably happier than him that I got selected to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Buddy lost his life July 2nd. His daughter Jenny, his grandson Jared are here. So if you get a moment, when you are headed to the parties or this festivity's over, take a moment and say a prayer for Jenny and her family. Jenny's a girl dad. So if you know what girl dads are, you know how brokenhearted she and her family are right now, and I want you to think about them, please. But Buddy Geis didn't teach me how to catch or to run a route. He reiterated the importance of family. He loved us enough in the receiver room that he had us over to his house. We got integrated with Jenny and her brother Adam, his lovely wife Jerry. Buddy brought us into that house. That's love. And after my time with Buddy Geis in Green Bay, he turned me over to Sharpe Lewis. You have to learn to follow before you can lead. And what Sharpe Lewis taught me was when I got into West Coast offenses to understand why we call certain plays. And when I was understanding the why, I was able under Sharpe's tutelage to lead the NFL in catches, yards, and touchdowns. I didn't even know what that meant, because I was learning from a guy who had coached the greatest receiver to ever play. Sharpe Lewis loved me so much that he did me the biggest favor. He never mentioned Jerry Rice, and he never mentioned me in the same sentence. So I never felt like I was in Jerry Rice's shadow. Well, Sharpe, as our offensive coordinator, turned me over to a young, energetic coach named John Gruden. And what John Gruden taught me was probably the thing that took my game to its highest heights, and that was don't study defenses. Don't study defensive backs. Study other receivers. Under John Gruden's tutelage, I was tutored by John for 2 years. I never ran a route as me those 2 years. If Michael Irvin and the Dallas Cowboys played Pittsburgh, that week I was Michael Irvin. I tried to copy all his mannerisms. If Tim Brown and the Oakland Raiders played Kansas City that week and I was playing Kansas City, I was Tim Brown. You see, when you learn to follow, you'll find out how quickly you become a leader. Now, I didn't mention Mike Holmgren, and I didn't mention Brett Favre and Don Mikowski or Barry Kemp or some of my other teammates, because you know what? When you're teammates, guess what? Nothing else matters but your family. And those guys, along with the Clarence Weathers and the Patrick Scotts and the Ron Hallstroms, were extremely important to my development. I know I talked about a lot of guys there, and I want you to know I followed some extremely strong women. Mom, I followed you. You gave me life, which is the greatest gift anyone can ever receive. But you gave me something else. You named me Sterling. And at the time, there weren't a lot of black boys in rural South Georgia running around being able to lean on something other than a mother, a father, a sister, or brother. I could lean on my name. You loved me enough that you named me Sterling, and I felt like I wasn't different, but I had something I could go to. You gave me a sister, older than me, Liv. And you know, you and I, we went through a lot, old girl. And I tell you what, we came out a lot better. And you know what? I talk about love. Greatest day of my life for my sister. She gave her life to Christ. That's my big sister right there. Susan Ellen, you know I ain't here without you, because you cooked, you cleaned, you dressed my wounds, you made sure I took my drugs when I was supposed to, you gave me your ears when I wanted to vent when I didn't have enough catches, and you told me to shut up when I had too many. I cannot thank you enough, because being my friend, giving me the greatest gift I have ever received, and that young lady sitting next to you. Because Summer Olivia, when you were born, you let me know it was okay to let Shannon go, to be his own man. And that's what I wanted. I cannot thank you guys enough. My brother in 2011 talked about Mary Porter. My brother in 2011 talked about Barney Porter. I'm not going to bore you with that. Because, see, when I tell you that you have to learn to follow before you can lead, and the only reason I'm standing here, the only reason I told you all those stories, everything I did athletically, everything I did for an audience of one. I didn't care what was written, said, thought, talked about, prayed about. Everything I did was for an audience of one. You see, when you grow up in rural South Georgia, it's hard to find heroes, and I didn't want this person to look outside our own dinner table to find a role model. Well, since I only got about 2.5 minutes left, I'm gonna do this thing the right way. As one half of the first brothers selected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, you got to come up here and stand next to me, my man. You got to do it. You have to learn to follow before you can lead. When Papa died and you were crying your eyes out, I prayed to God, do not let me cry. I need to be strong for him. And God got me through that. And then a few years later, Daddy died. And you were crying your heart out. And I prayed to God, do not let me cry, because I got to be strong for him. And it's so wonderful to be able to experience love and appreciation from my family. But ladies and gentlemen, this is why I played football. This is why I got out of bed. It wasn't work. It was because of this right here. Before I leave you, I want you to do two things. The most precious gift I've ever received is the Super Bowl ring that I wear. And I don't have blood, sweat, and tears with my teammates like many of these gentlemen do. I wear this ring because of love. And you gave me this not knowing you were going to get another one. And I prayed to God, please, oh God, let him get another one. God blessed him with 2. The second thing is, the last time I was here, you said that you were the only pro football player in the Hall of Fame that could say this, that you were the second best player in your own family. Well, I agree with that statement, but it would be a extreme privilege. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have anything athletically of value, but it would be my extreme pleasure for you to be the only player in the Pro Football Hall of Fame with 2 gold jackets. You see, you have to learn to follow before you can lead. And the only reason I'm standing here is because when I read my Bible, it talks about Jesus and how he gave his life for us. When you love someone enough to give your life for, let me tell you what else you'll do, Summer Olivia. You'll love them to the point you will live your life with them as well. I love you, Summer, like I love this guy standing next to me. Thank you very much for letting me take up 4 minutes and 58 seconds of your time.